Okay everybody, I wanted to go ahead and make a video talking about Tower of Fantasy and how much you should actually spend in the game. We recently got some new packs added to our limited gift pack store to where we can buy Titan augmentation materials. Now you can buy these packs weekly, and this is such a big change that it actually greatly affects the state of the game. Hence why I thought I needed to make this video, especially with new players and soon to be PlayStation players coming to the game. So there's 4 things you need to consider when spending money in Tower of Fantasy. And the first one is your budget. Are you a free-to-play, light spender, dolphin, or whale? So for a free-to-play, you're mainly going to focus on events, exploration, and challenge rewards. So for a light spender, you're mainly going to get everything on this page. Starting with the rookie supply, it's $1 and you get 5 red nucleus plus the cybernetic arm, which is great for getting around the world. Then we have the adventure pack to where you get 10 gold nucleus and you get to pick between some very powerful standard characters, which is Claudia, Frigg, Cobalt, and Nemesis, and I strongly recommend that you pick Claudia. But the biggest value is the monthly pass, to where you get 300 Tanium on purchase, 100 dark crystals, and 50 Veron every day for 30 days. Which is a very good deal, with dark crystals and Veron being your hardest currency to come by. And lastly, let's talk about the battle pass to where you can get extra rewards for $10. For $10, you can get red nucleus, special vouchers, dark crystals, and even limited SSR relic shards, which you will need to advance some of the most powerful relics in the game. And then for another $10, you can get the collector's edition, which is not a bad deal because you do get a copy of the limited SSR relic, and you also get 15 red nucleus. So now let's go ahead and talk about the dolphin, to where you're going to come over to the daily supply box and most likely get that 7-day purchase deal. Now this is a very good deal because you're going to be able to get dark crystals, red nucleus, special vouchers, booster modules, advancement modules, Mira, and more. The only downside is it is a little expensive to purchase this every 7 days, but if you are planning on rolling on future limited characters, this is a great deal to have running in the background. Now let's talk about the limited gift packs, which is more for the whales / high-end dolphin. Now I'm not going to go into super detail when it comes to this page because I did show how you can tell what are the best deals in my how worth or monthly / limited gift packs. So be sure to check out that video if you want to find out more detail, because the method I used in that video still works today. Because you do want to be careful when you're in this page. There are deals like the weekly opportunity gift box, which is a great deal, all the way down to the Titan weekly supply 3, to where you're basically spending $100 just for Titan augmentation materials. But if you are a whale, generally you're going for the red nucleus and special vouchers. Of course, some deals are better than others, and your second priority would be advancement module 2s and booster module 2s. Because these are pretty rare to get and you're going to need them to upgrade your Vera Gear, which we will discuss shortly. So now that you figured out what your budget is going to be while playing the game, let's talk about the next category, limited characters. So a team consists of 3 characters, and for this example, I'm going to go ahead and use the Menavolt team, which consists of Fenrir, Fiona, and Rubilia. So most of the time you're going to want your characters to be somewhere between an A1, which is 2 copies, or A3, which is 4 copies to bring out their full potential. On top of that, if you go for their limited matrices, you're going to want a 0-star or 3-star 4-piece set, which is 4 to 16 copies. And when rolling on these, there's not a guaranteed chance to get the character or matrice, besides Hard Pity to where you can buy the limited character or matrice depending on how many rolls you did, but it's still quite a lot of rolls to do that. So on average, for an A6 character, which is 7 copies, you need 380 rolls. And for their 3-star 4-piece matrice set, you're going to need 480 rolls. This of course can be offset by not always going for the A6 character and their max matrices, plus you can use standard matrices, which you get by playing the game. Also, by rolling for these limited characters and their matrices, you will get standard matrices and characters while you're rolling. But in most cases, limited characters and their matrices outclass standard. But at the end of the day, it comes down to the budget that you're working with. Which brings us to our next point, gear. Now, I go into detail in my Ultimate Starter Guide and Titan Gear Explained video. so check out those for more detail. But a quick summary is that you want your boots and gloves to have high crit, whereas the rest of the gear you generally want to have high elemental attack or attack, but preferably elemental attack. And then when it comes to Titan gear, you're preferably looking for +3 or +2 of your desired Titan stat. So there are 2 sets of gear: regular gear, which consists of 8 pieces, which are your boots, your pants, your gloves, your chest, your bracers, your shoulders, your gloves, and your helm. And Vera Gear, which would be your visor, your combat engine, your exoskeleton, and your microreactor. And currently, we only have 2 pieces that can utilize Titan gear: our gloves and the microreactor. But in the next patch, we should be getting Titan gear for our visor and our pants. But gear does come with a lot of RNG, so let's go ahead and discuss it. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look at my boots. You'll notice that I have 4600 crit. Now this is one of the highest crit boots in the game, and I made these boots months ago. And the reason why it's so hard to beat these boots is because of how the gear system works in the game. So what you're trying to do is get your gear to 5 stars. So let's go ahead and take a look at these other boots. Click on Enhance, then we want to go to the Advancement tab, and we use crystal chunks to do that. You can also use similar items like boots to also advance this. As I said previously, we're only looking to try to get this into crit. If it doesn't hit crit, it pretty much is useless, especially to beat the boots that I have. Now you could use a data repeater to block 1 stat, and that can increase your chances of getting that crit, but again, crit also has a range, somewhere between 900 to 1300. So even if it does roll into crit, it could still roll low and not beat what I previously have. But if you do everything in the game, you usually get somewhere between 3 to 5 data repeaters a week for free without spending any money. But you can also go to the shop, click on HOTS, and you can buy data repeaters for 300 dark crystals, which are fairly expensive because even if you use a data repeater, it does not guarantee you're going to get an upgrade. So let's go ahead and enhance these boots to the final star and see if it actually hits crit. And as you see, it completely missed, and this happens very, very often. So let's talk about another piece of regular gear. Here you'll notice that I have a belt with a very high elemental attack and volt attack, and I have attack 52. So if you add those together, I have over 1100 attack. So this is a very good belt. On top of that, once we're able to tighten this piece of gear, it gets even stronger, especially since most of the rows went into volt attack because elemental attack has a higher range than regular attack. So generally when rolling these types of gear, you're trying to advance it 1 to 2 times, and then if it does look like it's rolling right, you start to try to use some data repeaters to hopefully guarantee a pretty good upgrade. Sometimes this does not work though. So now let's go ahead and talk about Vera Gear, which this gear is rare, and these are the general ones that you are looking out for. If you end up coming across these, you definitely want to save them and make sure you use 5 data repeaters on them, and that is your triple or quadruple elemental stat. So you notice right here I have flame damage percentage, flame attack, and attack. So all of these are good for my flame gear piece set. What could have made this an amazing piece is if I got flame attack percentage on it as well. But we still do have a problem even when you do find these pieces. We want all 5 rows to either roll into flame damage percentage or flame attack percentage, which if you're familiar with the crit, is very difficult to do. So this one ended up rolling 3 times into flame damage percentage, which is not bad because other rows help it out. But it could have been so much more better if I would have got all 5 rows. But just to show you how rare it is to get that Vera Gear, here are a lot of pieces. You'll notice right here, it's completely random. We have HP, we have flame damage, we have regular volt attack, we have regular HP, and most of these are just terrible. This one's even worse. And this one is just all over the place, where we have attack and frost attack, but then we had flame damage. Now this was frost damage boost, this would have been a really good piece, but since it was flame damage, it's not that great. And one other thing that does hurt is when you click on this piece and you click on enhance, go to the advancement tab, they use different materials. So you have to have either the Pacific Vera item or you have to use these combat parts, which are difficult to get when you start playing the game. So you may run into instances to where you need to wait a few weeks before you can finally level up all of your Vera pieces to 5 stars. But again, if you get some of the pieces that I mentioned earlier, you want to definitely save those until you have 5 data repeaters and use your data repeaters on them. And the last thing that I need to talk about when it comes to gear is Titan gear. Now again, I go into a lot of detail in my Titan gear explain video, but the main thing that you're trying to get with Titan gear is that rare Titan stat, ideally a +3. Now we take a look at my gloves and I go ahead and hit transfer and hit preview. We can see that on the 120th row, I got extremely lucky and I got the +3 weak point. This is one of the best Titan stats to get on your pieces because it's very good for most of the elemental teams. But how Titan stats work is you can't get +3s unless you have 120 rows. And that doesn't guarantee you're going to get +3s. I could keep rolling this thing and my next Titan stat could be a +1 of a random different stat. Now, Titan compiling modules do help block a few undesired Titan stats. They're similar to data repeaters, but there's so many bad ones that it doesn't matter. On top of that, since there's no way to guarantee a +3, you could end up wasting a Titan compiling module on a +1 random stat. Because let's go ahead and take a look at my microreactor. Now, I was trying to go for discharge damage boost +3 for the upcoming Vogue character, Mimi. Now, if we take a look at how many rows I put into this, you'll see that I'm already at 179 rows, and I still have not got my +3 discharge damage boost. And just to show you how bad this system can be, again, I want to show you my gloves, to where on 120 rows, I got a +3 weak point. Now, here's my friend who tried to get a +3 weak point as well. You'll notice he has close to 400 rows, and he still has not got a +3 weak point. So my recommendation is, if you get a +3, that's great. But if you get a +2 of the desired stat, I would just keep that. I don't think it's worth to spend so much money trying to get that little extra damage. But again, it does come down to your resources. So let's go ahead and take a look at the limited gift pack section one more time. So when looking at these packs, if you bought all of these just for the week, that's over $500. To put that into perspective, that's close to being able to A6 a whole character. So I would say not to touch any of these packs unless you're able to get all the things that I mentioned previously in the budget section. And even then, still I would buy the cheaper packs first, than rather buy the big packs for $100 each. On top of that, we may be getting new Titan gear next patch, and we don't know what Titan materials they're going to take. So there's a chance that some people may have a bunch of excess Titan materials that they don't need. And now this section doesn't necessarily have to do with gear in and of itself, but since we were talking about the limited gift packs, I wanted to go ahead and mention the hot section, because this is something that you may come across while playing the game. The first thing that I want to talk about are vitality solutions. Now, vitality is a thing that is going to help power up your character by getting weapon materials, goading gear, and resources to level up matrices and characters. So you have a daily limit of 4, and it's going to cost you 50 dark crystals to buy one, and it's going to cost you 100 dark crystals to buy the second one. Each one costing 50 dark crystals more than the last one. So if you were to buy 2 a day, that's 150 dark crystals. So we can already see right here that it costs 150 dark crystals for 1 red nucleus. So generally, a limited banner character appears every 3 weeks. So if we did 50 dark crystals times 21, that's 1,050 dark crystals. And that is 7 rows that you're giving up by buying a vitality solution, just 1 a day. Now, if you bought 2 a day, you're giving up 21 rows. And if you do that for quite a while, you can see that starts to add up. So that is one thing that you do want to kind of take into consideration in this game. What do you want more, rows, or do you want to try to get that rare gear to power up your character? And most of the time, characters are going to give you the biggest power boost. So I would prioritize rows over vitality solutions, but it is up to you. So you can already see that if you're buying red nucleus or special vouchers, is going to cost you 150 dark crystals. So now let's talk about gold nucleus and proof of purchase. Now this is something that I recommend that you don't buy, especially at full price. This is due to the fact that limited characters in their matrices are usually always stronger than standard. The next thing that you may want to consider buying are booster modules and advancement modules. Since there's only a limited amount of these that you can get in the game, and you need quite a bit, I recommend that if you can afford it, go ahead and buy out your weekly limit using dark crystals. But it will cost 300 dark crystals to buy it out every week, and that is 3 rows. So in terms of a limited character that comes out every 3 weeks, that'd be 6 rows. So if you feel that that is not worth, go ahead and pass. Then we have the radar detector, which I recommend that you do not buy, since this is 50 dark crystals to find 1 expiration point, and sometimes these don't even work properly. If you're having trouble finding things on the map, I just recommend you use an interactive map. And then we got data repeaters. As you see, this costs 300 dark crystals, so you're basically giving up 2 rows every time you buy one. Now, sometimes to get those really good rows, you're going to need to get data repeaters, but I suggest you just try to wait until you get some more. But this option is available to you. And then we have choice materials, which we might as well just call the well section. Here you can buy materials that you can use in appointed research to help create pieces of gear. But just to create 1 piece of gear can cost quite a bit. For example, if you have no materials at all, usually it's going to cost you somewhere between 2,400 dark crystals to craft a piece of gear, which is 16 rows. And remember, all gear is random, so it may not even be good. One thing you could consider in this section is void energy, to where you can use that to get more tech, and void abyss. But if you are struggling with that, I recommend you wait until the last week of the month. That way you get all of your void rifts that you can to try to get that extra free energy. And then if you still need some more energy, you can always spend some using your gold, because you will need gold to level up your characters and matrices. Then you have the hot section, to where they add in vehicles or previous outfits that you did not purchase, but unfortunately not every outfit makes it to this section. I'm still looking for a certain outfit that I ended up missing out on. And the last thing that we can get is the popular packs, which has the proof of purchase box. Now again, these are for standard matrices, and even though this is at a discount and matrices are fairly difficult to get in the game, I still recommend that you save your dark crystal, because every week this will cost you 3240 dark crystals to get 30 standard matrice rows. If you times that by 3, when the limited banner will pop up, that will cost you 9720 dark crystals, and that equals almost 65 rows. Now let's quickly talk about the commissary, because there are some things that you want to make sure that you get every week. Starting with the Crystal Dust store. So you want to make sure that you get your augmentation factors, your core control modules, your booster modules, your advancement modules, and your potent omnium crystal 2 every week. And you might as well go ahead and get your Vera special gifts, because you can feed these to newer characters at a lower value. But when it comes to your gold and crystal dust, I recommend that you buy boots or handguards, so that way you can get a high crit piece. And once you do have a high crit in both boots and handguards, then you can buy whatever other golden gears that you want, and you're essentially just trying to get the highest elemental attack possible. Next, we have the space-time store. You want to make sure you buy your advanced module 2s, your booster module 2s, your data repeaters, and with your other crystal fragments, I recommend that you work on trying to get a really good combat engine. Once you have a really good combat engine, then you can focus on trying to get tactical IP shards. Then we got the crew store, to where you can spend your merit points to buy things inside the crew store. How you get these points is by going to the crew tab, and you have to do your 4 missions for the week, and you want to do your daily donations. And by doing that, you're also going to be able to collect extra merit, gold, and dark crystals up top, similar to the weekly tab. But with those merit points, I recommend that you focus on SSR relics. And the relics that I recommend that you get are a level 5 Omnium Shield or a level 5 Space Time Rift. But the Omnium Shield will produce the best long-time benefit, whereas with the Space Rift, once you get it to 3 stars, you really get to take advantage of it. Next, we have the support store, and you want to buy it in this order. You want to get your Space-Time Crystal Fragments, then you want to get your Space-Time Crystal Dust, then you want to go ahead and get your gold, then you can consider getting the Joint Supply Chips, and then pick up your Black Nucleus. But if you're able to get return support points, I strongly recommend that you try to get your Space-Time Crystal Fragments, and if you have an abundance, then you can consider buying radar detectors, proof of purchase, and gold nucleus. In the point store, you may not really need to come here very often. The main thing here is just buying a spare special gift, so that way you can level up your 1.0 characters and get their traits. Pretty much every character past 1.0 characters have better traits, so it's not that important. But you can use those training points to get matrix data packs or weapon batteries to level up your matrices and weapons. And for the last point, I recommend that you pick one element. Even for myself, when Mimi comes out, I'm most likely going to be a boat mini. and not try to max any other element. Because when you have multiple elements, everything that I mention either doubles, triples, or quadruples for every element that you try to max out. And I think you can quickly see how expensive that can get. So let's discuss what you can get if you do have every element maxed out. And the main thing is rewards in the Bygone Phantasm. So if we take a look at Sequential Phantasm, having maxed out teams, you will get high scores in Sequential Phantasms, which do greatly affect your ranking for the week. But even looking at the rewards that Sequential Phantasm offers, the best rewards are at the 2600 rating level, where you can get some Titan materials. And these rewards are seasonal. We're not going to get these to reset until 8/9/2023. And to get 2600 points, you could pull that off just using a standard team. So now let's go ahead and take a look at the ranking rewards that you get each week. Now I'm number 1, so that means I'm getting 100 Dark Crystals, 4 Titan Rolls, a lot of booster modules, and 6 advancement modules, as well as some energy crystal dust. So these are some pretty good rewards, with the best being the Titan module. So let's say I rank somewhere between 6 out of 10. That means I get 20 less Dark Crystals. Basically, I can only do 2 Titan Rolls instead of 4, and I lose a few booster modules and advancement modules, as well as some gold dust, but gold dust is not really that hard to get. So as I said before, the Titan Rolls are the biggest thing, but since Titan packs exist, literally buying one pack will make up for any low rank you get quite a few weeks, maybe months. Alright, closing thoughts. I think Tower of Fantasy is a very fun game. I really enjoy the exploration. I enjoy doing group content with my friends, doing the events, and there's a lot more that Tower of Fantasy has to offer. But I don't think that you should spend way past what you can afford just to play this game. So I wanted to make this video so that way you're at least aware of how much things can cost, so that way you don't spend past your budgets. But let me know in the comments, do you agree with what I had to say, or do you think I missed a few things? But hopefully you enjoyed this, and consider subscribing to the channel. I do character showcases, weekly guides on what to accomplish each week, and more. But other than that, I'll talk with you guys later.